And we are back with Aurora Open quarterfinals. We already have one, but we still have three more to go. Today we're going to have the show of Astralis versus Raid Gaming, a best of five between these two teams. Surprisingly, Raid Gaming took down X7 and moved along in the bracket. Meanwhile, it is Astralis trying to take that Division 1 spot a little bit further beyond and see if they can face JDXL on the left side of the bracket. My name is Alexander Rashanov Maya. I will be your host for the day. And I have M-Test and Kick yet again in the desk with me. How are you doing, M-Test? Let's start with you.
I mean, I'm doing good, man. I'm usually not that happy to see Danes playing, but I mean, Astralis, they're a fun team to watch, and that they have a fellow Norwegian pal with me in Tom Kick, the Norwegian master. Let's say.
Yeah,
Master in terms of
yeah.
knowledge, not in the game.
Whoa. I'm Master in League. Calm down. Pantheon one trick. I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing actually on League.
actually, yeah, sit down, or sure.
Continue, Tom. How are you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Here with my fellow Swede talking about Danish games. It's gonna be a banger day. You know, we have our common hatred towards the Danes, but we'll bring some good insight. Good insight. We'll bring forward good knowledge and help guide through this beautiful day, hopefully, with some banger games.
Interesting choice of words as we move on into the bracket to see where we stand right now. We are on the quarterfinals, as I told you before in the opening. JDXL took down Verdun with a 2-0 on the best of three. Then they took down Riki, and they are now locked in semifinals. Raid and Astralis are trying to do the same. And on the other side of the bracket, it's going to be Dusty Natives, Riddle Esports versus Bifrost. So I don't know if I'm going to get you guys on the desk. I don't think so on the other quarterfinals. So I would like to ask your opinion about who you think is going to win on the Dusty versus Natives matchup. Let's start with you, Tom, the master.
Yes, on the Dusty Natives, I'm really looking forward to that series. I think Dusty is still going to be the favorites, as I talked about earlier. But I feel like Natives have been showing so much good champions, so much good gameplay wise. So I think they can pack a punch. But I would still say like maybe 3-1, 3-2 to Dusty, favoring them into semifinals.
Interesting. What about you, M-Test? Riddle Esports versus Bifrost. Give me the spoil. Who's going to win?
I mean, you already know I caused so much Bifrost in their groups, and they're looking like a really fun team to watch right now. Like they used to play this Resident Sleeper meta where they just scale for late game, and then like Fury and the Shikari they just carry, which they can still do. But Shikari, this guy popped off completely on Aatrox in the group stage, and I'm just waiting to see that matchup. I think Bifrost's gonna take it, man.
I would like to believe that people will start banning Aatrox as we move along in the tournament. Let's see if today is going to be the same. But before we do that one, gentlemen, I have something special for you. It has been a long time since we've been in the studio, so I want to play a game. We brought a new game to the show, a game that I came up with. It's called Pick a Who. It's not Peekaboo, it's Pick a Who. So you guys will have a skill in front of you, and then the first one to say me will be the first one to try and guess what the skill is. So what I need from you, gentlemen, is what is the champion and what skill is it? Like, is it the Q, the W, yada yada? If you get those two correct, you get 1 point. If you land the name of the skill as well, that's an additional point as well. Are we clear on the rules?
I think so,
Crystal
yeah.
clear, man.
It's a
Crystal
really easy game. I don't know how you guys can mess this up, but let's see how you can do it. Let's start with the first one, production. Let's start with Pick a Who. And that is actually my face.
Me.
With me, yeah.
Oh, I can start
Okay,
already.
M-Test.
I think it's the Aurelion Q, no?
Okay,
I
let's
don't know
start with
the name.
Aurelian Q. So that is 1 point for you, M-Test, but what is the name of the skill, though?
But how can I like Eternal Galaxy or something correct like this?
Ah,
I
that
don't
was
know.
actually so close.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Subcake, do you want to
Probably
try
not.
and guess the name of the skill?
Okay, so he was close.
Yeah.
I was not close for
I,
sure. By the way.
I have no clue. Internal space.
Oh, it's even closer. It's actually
Oh.
Star Search. You guys are terrible at this. 1 point for M-Test, though. Let's start with M-Test with 1 point. Let's go to the second one. Give me the second Pick a Who.
Me?
Yeah.
Is it Fiddlesticks E?
Oh, you want to lock it in?
Yes.
Good job. It is incorrect. It's not Fiddlestick Z.
Oh.
M-Test, you want to give it a go?
I mean, I know it's not Callista Eve, but it really looks like it. But
It looks
it's
like Callista. Have you seen the colors?
Yes, I know, but
Callista is not.
oh,
It's not.
maybe
This is
it's
not Moon Callista.
I will just flip it and say like Swain Q or something like this.
Aha!
We'll call
It
it
is Fiddlesticks W.
Oh, so it was
Oh
actually
yeah, it's the
Fiddlesticks though.
oh my
It's the
god.
W.
Ah,
The
Tom
E
Kick
is the
you.
scythe,
I
and the W is
choked.
the
Tom Kick choked it.
bountiful harvest. Let's go on to the third one. This is an easy one, okay? I presented to you an easy one. This is the easiest of them all.
What? Oh, you're trolling, by the way. This is not
No,
even
this
an
is
icon.
league. This is league. This is league.
Have I ever seen this? What?
I'm so sorry for your loss. I thought you were master. You were supposed to know the champions.
Yeah,
But who
okay.
knows this? No one in
Can
the
you,
chat
can
knows
you
this as
tease
well,
the
by the way.
role?
Yes, it's an AD carry.
Then
Oh,
I
it
don't
was
know.
supposed to be an AD carry.
Oh, it's Nyla something. It has to be Nyla. Like it's a new champion. I think it's like Nyla E or something like this. Has to be. Like,
Nali?
yeah.
My man, it's Nyla W. So you got that incorrect. So
No!
does anybody want to try the name of Nyla's W? I know Nymeta knows this one because it's really hard out of a sudden. But I don't think my... Oh, M-Test is sulking in already. He's already running
Yeah.
low. He's
I'm really
losing
tilt-
LP, he's
I'm
losing
really
elo.
tilted.
So nobody wants to
Uh,
guess it. I'll say the name. It's Jubilantville.
Oh,
It's a
I was
lovely
actually
one.
gonna guess that. Yeah.
I have
Obviously.
no idea.
Fourth one, let's pick a who and see who's gonna take it. This is an easy one.
Me.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh, I don't mess this up. It's Rek'Sai, but it's. Is it the W that is the tunnels?
Do you want to lock it in?
I'm hoping I'm not switching between the W and the E. I think.
Think about the skills. Is that close to the E?
I don't play Rek'Sai though. That's the
But
problem.
think about the skill. The skill is the
Oh, wait,
bite.
wait.
Does
wait,
that
wait.
resemble a bite?
Is it the alt? I think it's the alt. I'm gonna flip the round. Or
Do you want
I
to go
might be
for
cho-
the
I might-
ultimate then?
I might be choking it, but it looks like the alt. It could be the alt.
You go from the W, which is the tunnel, and there's the tunnel, to the ultimate, which is Rek'Sai jumping. You want to do that?
Yeah, but it looks like it's about to
Tell
jump
me,
and go
lock it
into
in,
the-
just
yeah,
tell
I
me.
lock an alt. I lock an alt.
The ult? Well, I'm so sorry. It's Rek'Sai R. Actually, it's Rek'Sai R. So you got 1 point. You guys are
It
tied up.
is.
Do you want to give me the name?
What?
Tom Cake, you're the first
oh,
one. M-Test, think about it.
I think is
Five,
it
4,
unborrowed
3.
unborrowed some? No, it's not. But unborrowed something.
M-Test.
I will go like I know it's not correct.
He's on
but I was-
Google. He's on
I will
Google
say-
right now.
No,
He's on-
I'm not. I will say Furious Bite. I know it's not correct, but I need to
Yeah,
guess
obviously
something
that's
edgy.
exactly the name of Void Rush. So you guys
Oh.
are tied up, which means the
Okay.
last one is a tiebreaker.
Okay, deciding. Let's go.
Final skill of pick. Oh,
I'm ready. Oh, oh,
What?
me.
M-Test.
It's oh shit! Don't choke this. I think it's Rel E.
Do you want to
No,
lock it in?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that's a
It's
good
not.
guess.
No.
It's not a good guess.
It's not
What
a
do you
good guess.
mean?
It
Top
looked
kick.
like it made sense when they said it like, oh, that makes sense, but I guess it's not. I will say is it
I'm so
Kale
disappointed.
passive?
I'm
Oh,
so disappointed.
are there passives in this?
I'm so disappointed with this.
Is there passives? Am I choking it completely?
There are passives on the game, but I
Okay.
didn't bring a single passive, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say the name and the skill. It's actually
Hint?
Pantheons
Oh,
Why is it?
yes, of course, the end with the Pantheon.
because
Oh
there's
my
a
God.
shield and spear. It's
No.
Aegi's Assault, which is the E.
But
Good
actually,
job, team. So you guys tie up
okay.
as I thought it would happen.
Oh,
Moving on to the game of today, it's Astralis versus Raid. So let's meet the teams. You already met the champions and the skills. We now need to meet the teams and understand how they play inside of the Rift. Because so far we've been talking about Astralis and Raid and yada, yada, yada. But we need to go into the nitty gritty of these teams. So let's start with Astralis. Let's talk about strengths and weaknesses from this team so we can understand, are they going to collide today against each other? Tom Kick, I want you to talk to me about this. What is your strength for Astralis? What do you believe they excel at?
When I look at Astralis, I think the biggest strength is their coordination. I think they work really well together, and I think since they've been playing together as this 5-man unit for such a long time, they've just been outstanding throughout the whole time, and this is where their core strength is. We can see this in a specific play that's against Ruddy actually, not too long ago, where we see them play. I think loading up here, yeah. As we see them play in the river here, they're getting caught out. You see, okay, we're not all the members here, but then they keep their ground. They're like, okay, we know Ruddy can't really walk in here. They can't go into the choke. And then when they keep standing there waiting for Sankooks to come, then they re-engage. It's not about we're going completely out. They're standing their ground, waiting for the members to come, wait for Ruddy to make a mistake, and then clean up with 2 kills compared to just losing 1 there. So really well played by Astralis.
So it's the idea that this team has played together for a long time. Vedetta comes in as a coach and is able to provide this communication between the team. Everybody is really good together as a coordination. I like that one. But what about weaknesses, though, Tom Kick?
When I look at the weaknesses, also from the same series, is where we see they're
Okay.
getting surprised a lot. I feel like they get caught out when they really aren't sure what the enemy is going to do. And I feel like what they need to be able to see coming is the unexpected, because Astralis is a really well by the book team, I would say. They know the game, they play very good standard, but the things that go out of control is when the enemy is like cheating prio, or they're just going into the weird places where they really shouldn't be going according to what's more optimized. And that's where they get caught out. It's like, okay, we know Rud is going to take a base, and then they're coming back with items. And then they get to the Drake, it's like, oh, wait, shit, there's still members here. They didn't do anything. They just waited for us to come. And then they get caught out.
So they do a little bit of trolling, Astralis. They only not only get the coordination, but they also do a little bit of trolling. So keep that in mind, everybody. The coordination and easily surprise from Astralis. Now jumping into test, let's meet the other team. Let's meet Raid and understand what are their strengths. What is the strength that you want to highlight right now for Raid?
I mean, I think for Rate, I think their strength is for sure gonna be like their mid jungle, right? I think Julbo and Aurora in their series against X7, I think Julbo played fantastically, right? He played the Hecarim, he played the Udyr, really kind of taking the resources to himself and allowing, basically telling his team, guys, I'm gonna full clear like 25 times and then I'm gonna carry the game, right? So just wait for me. And he did that. He really delivered on the Udyr as well, which is a really fun pick to see. And I think today, going up against Astralis, right? Their mid jungle is also looking really stacked. So I think this is really where the match is gonna clash today. If Aurora and Julbo can deliver on their picks, I think they have a shot.
And that's interesting to highlight that the fact that Jubu is such a key component to the team because he was the one that needed to shut down Viking. And he did. Like, it's the king, it's Viking, and he did an amazing job versus him. So I would like to see what is happening today versus Taxer, which leads us to the weakness from Raid. What do you think is the one you should highlight for today?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a double-edged sword, right? The fact that Julbo
Okay.
is playing these types of carries, right? The Udyr, the Hecarim, because these champions, they don't really like to be proactive in the early game. And I really feel like this is where Wraith kind of falls behind in a lot of their games. Their laners can't really, I feel like they have a hard time kind of tracking the enemy jungler and seeing where they are because they die to a lot of random ganks. They get behind, they fall behind in their laners. And if they do that today against Astralis, there is no way that Julbo is going to be able to carry them. If they are that far behind, you can't just whip out the Udyr and say, hey guys, I'm gonna carry regardless, even if you're like 10k behind, right? So I think that is for sure a weakness for it.
And that is important now. Everybody needs to keep these in mind because now I want to clash them against each other. I want to understand weaknesses versus strengths from one side for the other side as well. So let's look into Astralis. Let's understand how they face against each other. We only have a little bit of time, and there you go. So coordination mid jungle, coordinated lanes, and easily surprised. So weaknesses, I would say it's the same for both. But strengths, how do you guys see this going on into the game, into the Summoner's Rift? How do you think this is going to turn out, Tom Kick?
I feel like when I look at the weaknesses, I feel like when I look at Rate compared to Astralis, it's like Rate is going to make most of their mistakes in the laning phase, and Astralis is going to make most of their mistakes in the mid to late game, where they get caught out when Rate has the possibility to group up and set up for different objectives. And Astralis is expecting something else and like playing by the book, and Rate gets a little bit crazy. That's when they get caught out. So you gotta like change from early to mid game to see where the kind of weaknesses kicks in.
Okay, what about you, Test?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of agree with Tom Kick. I think the rate kind of strength kind of match kind of well into the Astralis, right? The mid jungle is also strong, but then you kind of think again, and you might feel like the mid jungle is just gonna neutralize each other, right? And then Astralis laners are just gonna be stronger than Raids. I think if Raids is gonna wanna win today, they have to draft a few curveballs, like the Udyr, like something like that Julbo can actually carry on, and they also need to play like aggressive right off the bat, because that's, I feel like, a weakness for Astralis, where if they're thrown curveballs because they're so used to playing like such a certain style, then they can kind of falter. We saw that against Rudder, right, where they actually lost a game against them. So I think that's what Raid has to do. They can't just play normally today. They have to come aggressive right off the bat.
And there you go, we jump into pick and ban right off the bat. I just wanted you guys at home to understand where these teams are going to excel at one point and where the other team might try to take advantage of that one in order to win the series of today. It's the best of 5, so we have a lot of time in our hands for today. Let's hope for those 5 games and not for that clean sweep from any of these teams. Looking into the ban so far, it's about the Caitlyn, it's about the Nami, it's about taking that power away from Chrisberg and Kiba. Expected Kiba is such a powerhouse for the team as well. On the other side, it's about stopping Yulbu and not allowing him to run amok in the jungle. Talking about running amok, you take the Udyr, but the hack room is available. If you look for these specific picks, guys, I would like to understand Aatrox, Maokai, and other power picks. Should they be left open?
I mean, that's a really good question, Osham. We're about to see, right? I mean, so many teams leave this pick open and then they realize instantly why it's being banned. I mean, we saw Shikara and Aatrox so many times.
Yeah.
I have to mention it once again. This guy completely popped off on that. So I would say you have to ban things like Aatrox, especially today, because we have Curl against Carlson. This matchup, I mean, I think both of these guys, I feel like they're kind of similar in their styles. They both like to play carries. I would say Carlson has a bit more experience, right? He can play the Gnar and be kind of an off-tank for his team. I think Curl, being on blue side, is actually gonna really hurt them in this one, because this guy is not gonna pick a tank for sure. And if Astralis can keep their last pick to save it for Carlson, wait, they lock into Sejuani. Actually, Curl might be proving a point right off the bat here. I like that.
It's interesting because like Sejuani is a flexible pick, but you don't really see it many other places than top and jungle. Now you can play it support in worse positions, but rarely seen that. Yeah, of course. So now, you know, Maokai is still open, but yeah, we see Taxer, he's been playing so much Viego. He loves that champion, and it's really good when you play for the mid-jungle duo. So now you're probably gonna see Senkox on a mage who gets good priority in lane, and then it's easy for Taxer to do whatever he wants to do on the map. But this again, what are Raid gonna do to actually match it? Because we talk about their mid-jungle being so strong and being so important, how can they actually match it?
Okay,
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, Azir is open, and Senkox is a beast with the Azir. He's also a priority pick. It's S peak in the mid lane, but they're going to default back to the Kai'Sa, getting a lot of priority lately in the bot lane. But there are ways to reply to this one, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, you have the Varus open, you could pick the Aphelios. There is a lot of picks open right now that you can just match the Kai'Sa with. I think this is Chrisberg saying basically that I'm better on playing my lane better than you regardless. So even if you pick a counter, I'm gonna win my lane regardless. But that's the thing, right? These kind of spells are read. Astralis, they wanna go in. They wanna have the engage, probably drafting like a support on 3 pick. And that's why I like the Renata counter pick instantly, because Renata is such a good champion against such Nautilus, Leona, you know, Amumu, stuff like this. It's really, really potent against these champions. And I'm just really surprised as well to see there is no priority whatsoever on the Sylas or the Akali, but it kind of spells out that Senkox, I mean, this guy's famous for playing his control mages, but then he locks it in anyways, my guy.
Makes sense. Like, you see the Renata, you see the Varus and the Sejuani, you look, oh, it's free real estate. Like, get me those ultimates. I need this one. Before the ban for the second phase, so I can take away the mid champion pool from a role. Yeah, easy peasy. So, Tomkick, now the focus for Astralis should be take away the mid lane, while on the Raid side, what do you think they should be taking away?
Raid side, I think they should now start banning out the supports they don't really want to meet. Because like Kai'Sa wants those engaged champions, and there are some good counters. It looks like they actually want to look for the top lane blinds. I would assume that Astralis goes for support on R4 because they already see the Varus Renata, so it's easy to match. But then Raid is like, maybe they're already trying to build up for a Sejuani top lane this far. Because if they can get a good matchup onto mid, then they can change up the jungle also to surprise on the B45. Because this is where we often see huge changes. Because now most of Astralis would assume that, okay, they want to build something good with the Sejuani because they have Silas. But I think Raid, this is where you need to put the curveball in.
I think the Akali should come over for that all as well. Like, you take away the Azir, the Cassio, and you think Akali versus those close range champions, that is an easy for it all. So let's see what they're going to focus as the last ban. Are they going for the top lane yet again? Matchups that are not favorable for the Sejuani, so it's still a flex. Let's see it to the Astralis 4th pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like this adaptation. I think there's a good point you bring up something like the fact that they can keep this Sejuani flex, not till the last pick, because obviously they are on the blue side, but now that the fact that they are going to be able to get counter pick in mid as well, and maybe put your Sejuani, could just throw it in the top side or in the jungle and get some top side going, right? For sure, Kiba gonna lock that support in right now, but this is just, once again, I feel like they really pinched that top lane because of the fact that they want to have Curl on a decent matchup, and I don't think they really care about the fact that Kiba is gonna play in a support shop, because there are so many open, you can't really ban all of those out, and Renata wants to be able to play against these melee types of support. She doesn't really like to play against the Karma, the Lux, the like range type support, so I think this is a good one so far for Wraith. And the Olaf lock-in, I mean, this is the curve we wanted to see, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking this is super spicy. And the
Oh
Yone
my
too.
God.
I
Let's
think this
go.
is exactly what we need.
But they're full AD though.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit worried, like, where is your AP damage actually coming through?
Vados
So-
AP, do it.
Now the funny thing is, like, I wanted to see a tank on R5, but it's not likely because Carlson is the one who plays a lot of the carries. So this is not the worst for Raid. Like, Amumu is a low resource support. You won't be able to get too much armor items. Now, it's easy for them to get the plated steel caps, but too much armor is not actually going to be happening on Astralis side. So I think Raid is in a surprisingly comfortable position. So this is the curveball I like to see, actually.
Okay, if you like to see it, tell me who's gonna win.
Astralis.
Astralis are going to. There you go. I really like what Raid brought up. So who's gonna win? Astralis. What about you, M-Test? Are you looking for the Danish?
I'm gonna have to disagree just for the content. Like, I think Raid has something good going, and this is what I wanted to see, right? Sure, Julbo is not on a tempo clear jungler like the Hecarim or the Endur, but I think this is kind of what Astralis expected him to play. So now going for this Sejuani, it's gonna be so proactive early with the Olaf, with the Yone. I think Raid's gonna take this one. I think Astralis is choking a bit in their boots right now. I think they're nervous.
Okay, that is a lovely one. I didn't expect that one. Thank you for the content, M-Test. Now, without further ado, let's toss it to the casters that are going to bring it inside of the Summer's Rift. They're going to be casting these 5 games today, or 3. I don't know how many there are going to be, so I'm not going to spoil it. It is the boys, Hipbrain, and for the first time in a long time, I can say this name yet again, Trouble Inc. Take it away, boys.
Take it away, boys. Apparently,
Finally
there
part
we
of the
go.
voice. Yes, officially.
You made it, Trouble. You made it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Caster Desk. We are getting ready to go into our first of this best of 5 here between Astralis and Rate. Trouble, we were talking a little bit just in chat while we were waiting, getting into this game. I want to get your thoughts on the comps and what these guys have locked in. You know, what do you think of the strengths? What do you think of the weaknesses? I guess we'll start with Rate because they seem to be the underdogs today. You know, what do Rate need to be doing here with this comp to take this first game?
I'm just looking towards the top lane because Empty seemed to be talking about Curl a lot, and it seemed like they locked into Sejuani very early on. Curl has played Sejuani before, into Riddle, into Jax Flanks Renekton. That didn't work that well because it was Jax Flanks Renekton, but now he swaps it around. They put that Sejuani into the jungle and they lock in the Olaf towards the top side of the map. Last time he played it, it wasn't the Aurora open into an Aatrox, and he actually had an insane KDA of 7, 1, and 2. The guy literally took over towards that top side of the map. So I'm expecting to see a lot of action towards that because you have the Sejuani, you have the melee matchup towards the top. You can very easily proc your passive, so that could be an avenue to sort of break open the game for Raid.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to obviously keep our eyes on that top side, but we are finally getting onto the Rift for this first game of the day. So Astralis grouping up as 5, just moving down towards that bot side. Obviously, you've got the Amumu. You might as well try it. You get the double bandage toss if you can land both of them. That CC chain could be enough to at least burn summoner spells, as looks like Astralis are just going to curl around the edge here. Sin hasn't spotted them yet. Keeper
no.
She's forward, catches out. There's the cleanse. Can he land the next bit? The slow comes down, but the follow-up is there. One more auto attack. Sin is low HP. He's got nothing left. First blood to Chrisberg.
Oh my god, and the most unfortunate thing is that it actually goes to the Kai'Sa. But you know what, I feel like Sin was standing in a very awkward position. You don't necessarily ever want to stand there because you see how Fog of War works really weird around this wall, where by the time you actually see your opponents that are hugging this wall, you're pretty much dead if there's any form of CC. And of course, Kiba leveling his Q as his first spell. He has 2 charges on it as well. So that was pretty unfortunate right here. Of course, this is not going to be the easiest of lanes because for Astralis, their bot lane is bleeding summoners as well. Neither Kiba nor Crispberg will have their flashes available. Of course, they still cleanse onto Crispberg, but when you have that Sejuani with the knock-up, you've got the slow through the Varus, you've got the handshake through the Renata as well. There are ways that you can actually not even go for the Kai'Sa, you can actually go for the Amumu because she's extremely squishy in the early game. So we'll see where Jolbo chooses to go towards with that Sejuani, but my gut instinct, like we said early on, is that he's going to be pathing towards the top side of the map, getting that Olaf ahead. You know, at the beginning of the year in spring, when we first saw Carlsen, we're a little bit worried because even though he was playing a lot of these carry champions, you know, the Renekton's, in this case, the Gwen, like he was playing back in spring, it felt like if he wasn't getting the resources wasn't necessarily going very well. Over in summer, as there's another handshake of trades in the bot lane, no pun intended. Over in summer, we saw Carlsen actually doing pretty well on his own. He didn't need necessarily many resources. He was able to evade a lot of the ganks. Every time they would dive him 1 versus 2, he would take one with him. So I'm wondering right here if this will be, again, the point of attack when teams play the Astralis.
Yeah, that will obviously be an interesting thing to kind of track. Obviously, we talked about Curl as well for Rate as kind of like one of the players we want to keep our eyes on. But also, when we did look at the strengths, Jolbu and Errol were brought up as one of Rate's strengths. Their jungle mid synergy, very, very strong. And using that information from the early award and the pressure that they built up in the mid lane is actually able to go in for this invade onto Taxa. I actually totally didn't track how that went and if they stole away any camps. It looks like Taxa was okay. Might have lost a small chicken or so, but not the end of the world, but still kind of threatening and showing what that bot lane duo is made of. As sorry, that mid lane duo is made of. As we see Carlsen just get a whole bunch of health trimmed off there. Well, he trims a whole bunch of Curl's health bar off there as Senkux maybe thinking about jumping onto Jolbu, but with Curl already rotating down with the pressure he's got in the top side. This is basically just giving Jolbu top-side pressure. He is able to completely run over where he wants, where Senkux is taking this fight versus Errol. Errol actually does come out the lesser health than Senkux after that, but looks like now Jolbu may just be looking for something onto Carlsen as this wave is pushing away. Remember, Carlsen, in typical style of a Gwen, there we go, of a Gwen lane, is you don't have that flash. You have the Ignite and the teleport. The Ghost in the teleport has taken the Ignite, the more kind of aggressive option, but that does mean that if this gank goes down, this could be scary right now for Carlsen. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Hopefully we'll get an ETA or an update on what's gone on with this break, but we have just had a brief pause for the moment. But yeah, you're already seeing Rate using very strong top side to get Jolbu in a comfortable situation to kind of take over this game.
I feel like the big surprising factor right here is the fact that you're like, okay, you're playing with Sejuani, very low econ, ganking jungler that usually gets shoved around depending on what the opponent jungler wants to do on the map. That's not the case right here. You're playing with a Yone in the mid lane that can very easily shove in a Sylas, get the trade onto Sylas, push in the wave first because you're not necessarily wasting any of your mana to push in that wave and then bleed your pressure into the jungle. That's exactly how they took the chickens. And right here, Jolbu is looking to use that melee lane, but Carlsen
takes a lot of Curl's health bar there. Just needs to get that Q back up. If he can line it up, maybe he can find the kill here. Gets caught by another slow. Now he's turning on to Jolbu. His target selection was a little bit scattered, and Ray aren't going to be able to win that fight.
I'm just going to say, I think the way Curl played this gank was absolutely phenomenal. The fact that he was throwing an axe in to keep Carlsen slowed and then walking towards that axe, not necessarily catching it, but threatening, not walking close enough to Carlsen for Carlsen to charge him, and then picking it up when Carlsen was too far away to slow him again, to allow Jolbu to get that passive stun onto him was actually absolutely stellar. And again, we see that Raid want to play towards the top side of the map. They have the Sejuani, yet have the melee top and mid. And let's watch this again. Curl is extremely low, but right now, surprise, surprise, Olaf gets a shield with his kid. So he ends up living through that Ignite. And look at that, the back and forth, forcing Carlsen to potentially charge back, try to kill Curl, but throwing in that actually keep him slowed up. And the flash Q right there from Jolbu as well to finish the deal as well was very well tailored from both of these guys to actually coordinate their abilities like this. But again, going back to the Sejuani factor right here, the fact that your top lane is winning, your mid lane can shove in and win whenever they want, means that this Sejuani pretty much has control of the map. Jolbo right here has already ganked once, and he's about what? A camp-ish behind Tutaxa, who is actually playing a more farming-oriented jungler. So I'd say for Jolbo right here, you're pretty Gucci. You've already gotten your cooldown reduction boots as well, which means that you are faster because you've got your complete tier 2 boots, and your skills will be coming off cooldown much sooner for these ganks to come through.
Absolutely. Now, the one bonus for Carlson is he did have teleport, unlike Curl, so he was actually able to take this, but he might be going down here! Yes, the shot! Not enough! The triumph from Curl! Able to survive it, but in comes the lockdown. It's not going to connect because the ult is down. And Taxa unable to make that happen. Carlson making a real mistake as all bot lane. Chrisberg did get a couple of kills, and that is a scary factor. This kind of explosive hyper carry player like Chrisberg already 2-0 up in his lane. Very back and forth. As we're going to see Senkux trading versus Errol here. Does have that Fate Sealed stolen away, but I think the waves are a little bit too shoved for them to go for this particular fight.
That was a 3 versus 2 in the bot lane. Jolbo was there, the bot lane was there. Sejuani ends up dying to a Kai'Sa with a double longsword and a dagger. So let's pause this again. Jolbo, of course, is in the tri-brush, and Crispec has been zoned away. Okay, Braid's bot lane is extremely low on HP, but I have the feeling right there that they weren't very willing to follow up on the play. Jolbo goes way too deep. Crispec is allowed to join the party. And you see how it wasn't necessarily a 2 versus 3. It was a 1v2 at first. Then Jolbo ends up dying because that Raid bot lane was very low. I think Raid should focus towards that top side of the map. Your Olaf is absolutely massive. You've got double sword in the bag. You've got the Ruby Crystal. You've got a pickaxe. You're hurting so much. Look at that wave. It's going to slowly push towards Curl's side as well. And if he so wishes to, he can actually freeze it towards his side. Or you take the whole thing because your Sejuani is pathing towards the top side of the map and potentially try to go for yet another dive. I'm not sure if Jolbo gets that level 6 off of this camp, seeing as Taxer is level 6, but Taxer is about 10 CS up at this point. I'm not sure if Jolbo hits 6 here. He doesn't. I think he needs just another camp to hit level 6.
Yeah, just a little bit shy of that one, but Carlson, once again, is probably going to be on the receiving end of a gank. Yeah, I just got the permafrost go down onto Curl just before Jolbu reveals, so Carlson able to move away. Taxa is also in the area. Instead, with the pressure that he's got in both mid and top lane, Jolbu is going to translate this into the Rift Herald for himself, and there's not really anything Rake can do about this. All their pressure, all of their power is on this bottom side of the map. They may look towards the dragons as the pings are going down. Chrisberg got that level 6 mark.
No.
This could be a big catch here by Kiba. Chrisberg's not actually jumping forward, gets slowed down by the Q. The second one does connect. Chrisberg cleanses. Are they going to use that R? Are they going to fully commit? No, the Fate Seal comes down. Chrisberg's in danger himself here. He has to try and get away. Jumps over the wall, but Errol chases for him. And Chrisberg's just about able to survive. Sen's looking for it. He finds the shutdown. Jamsu's burning up, but the shield is going to save his life as Taxa slides in forwards. Here comes Senkux onto Sin to tidy up another kill for his team. A double kill for Taxa, but now he has to survive versus everything here. He does have the ability to steal away the form and get a little bit of health back, but Taxa's already very low. Heartbreaker's forward, stealing yet another form. Now he's chasing onto Jolbu. They've got the lockdown. They've got the damage. Astralis just walk over right in the fight.
You do not dare walk into a Viego that gets a reset. Because if you look at the champions he can pick up from his resets, they can very much continue chasing the fight. The Renata, the Sejuani give you such good follow-up when you take these champions. And right here, Errol is going to miss his ult onto Chrisberg, but because this champion is extremely balanced, he can still fight for half a screen away. You will see that Varus also flashes through to finish off Chrisberg, and Jamso actually lives for a long time since the Guardian Shield is gonna proc for one more time. Now you see right here, the second Taxa has that one reset. He leaves it behind just in case he needs it and make sure they kill the Varus so he can't put down that damage. And once Errol comes in and this is Sejuani ult, look how nice Taxa plays that. He leaves that soul there, waits until he needs it for the reset, And once that comes through, this is one reset comes through, he gets that ult down, and they end up going in for the triple kill with the Sylas ult, the stolen Sejuani ult from Sylas. Very, very expertly played, actually, right there from Taxa. Something that's not talked about a lot is how a Viego can actually leave the souls down on the floor until the second they need it for a reset, for them to become untargetable, for them to fall really low on HP and then reset back to full. But Errol might be in trouble right here, too far away from Kiba to get a Q in.
Yeah, this is actually a very frustrating team to play into when they can steal your champs, steal your ultimates, just use everything you have against you. It's really, really effective. Carlson, unfortunately, isn't being quite so effective himself. He is struggling somewhat in this lane. Obviously, those early trades and maybe a little bit greedy for him to try and take that 1v1 versus Curl has cost him as the Ignite has been thrown down. They do catch the ult onto Taxa, but that forced an ult and a Ghost, just them rotating up. Yes, they lose some plates in the top side, but Carlson's tower still stands, and they will be somewhat happy with that. Errol will get a plate on the mid lane in response for this, and has used his E. He's quite a way away from his tower, but Astralis are quite away from him, so he is going to be able to get away. But Astralis kind of being forced because of how bad top's been going to rotate 3 members up to top side, and it does give him a brief opportunity to over to the side of Rate, for Rate to catch some gold in, as Colston is aware that Jolbu is just camping topside, and
I mean,
this is the best lane for them to put any attention into.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think Christmas Kaiser is pretty happy sitting in the bot lane and trying to 1v2 even. Oh, the ult is going to be popped.
Yeah, Colson's doing the damage. He's going to be... What? Wait, whoa! Holy moly! Where did Curl go?
I think Curl...
Oh! They sealed onto 2. They do get a massive 3-man ult off, but the pin, the lockdown, the damage to follow, and Crisper gets a double kill. Arrow is chasing onto Kiba. The Ignited Strong down, and Kiba is picked up. They immediately jump in. Arrow will fall as Taxa secures the kill. Astralis getting wins all over the map right now.
I'm just gonna say one thing. I don't think the Olaf being fed matters, because one traditional counter to Olaf has always been Kai'Sa. Because the second Olaf sets his sights onto the Kai'Sa, guess what? Kai'Sa can just jump on the whole other side of the fight, completely far away from the Olaf. So the fact that Respec is the one that's giga fed right now on this Kai'Sa, who's the counter to Olaf, and the only member that's actually giga-fed on this side of Raid is that Olaf, who, by the way, got 1v1'd by Carlson's Gwen, because the Ignite got underestimated, all the healing didn't come through when you're invited for Curl. You lose both of your summoners right there, and you give up your the kill to Carlson, who's been starving, by the way, in kills, but Kiba's top.
Oh, they are out for revenge. Curl just doesn't get to play. No Ragnarok available, and he will lose his life. Ray are going to take this opportunity to get some pressure onto this bottom side, give a bunch of plates over to Sin. A Void Seeker to try and seek out where Jolbull is. Chrisberg is very aware that his bot lane tower is going to lose a bunch of plates, and there's not really too much you can do about that. Astralis are threatening jumping in. Errol actually maybe overcommitting a little bit as the chain lash comes in. They flash forward. They lock him down. And that is one dead Yone. Astralis able to find yet another kill. Crisper gets underneath his tower and is now taking the trade versus Sin. Oh my word! The damage is huge, but the fight is breaking out in the river as Taxa's low HP is going to be able to steal away the form and chase up onto Jamzu, who throws down a brilliant ultimate, but he has no backup, and Taxa will be able to survive as Senkuk secures himself the kill.
Oh, the misery. Everybody wants to be their enemy. Right now, Astralis are literally stomping on every front. Top lane, Carlson, even though he went down, even though he was suffering, even though he was getting killed by Jolbo and Curl, he's managed to be up at the moment 30 CS. He solo kills Curl. Crisperk, fully plated bot lane tower with every turret plating. 5 kills in his name. 15 CS up, mid lane 20 CS up for Senkax, jungle even, but Taxa has been in 9 out of 14 kills going down on the Rift for the side of Astralis. I think it's a defy on the Rift right now for Astralis, and to be honest, seeing how Astralis is coming as a Div 1 team, that we're going in hoping to get to EU Masters in summer from the NLC. Unfortunately, they could not make it, and they seem pretty gutted because their team looks really freaking strong with the names that they chose. So making sure that you stomp every single one team that is supposed to be on the books underneath you, I think is nothing, it's not really a surprise.
Oh, Jolbu takes a fair amount of damage. Chrisberg is terrifying right now. He's got himself the Blade. He's got himself the Kraken Slayer, 5, 1, and 2. Just phenomenally fed. Very, very hard to deal with. He's going to be able to output some serious damage and be a real problem. And for now, they're not actually going to use this Rift Herald to go for the mid lane and get pressure for the Dragon. They just feel confident that they can take the Dragon no matter what, and then rotate towards wherever they want to try and take this towers down with the Rift Herald. I'm assuming we're probably going to see the Herald get used in mid to open that one up, but you can see Wraith have rotated multiple members up towards the top side. They've got Jolbu and Curl here. Curl going to be able to start out on this tower. And not only is this a top lane tier 2 if he can take it, nobody will because Carlson's here, but
that's a
shutdown as well.
He's going to have to start running soon because you see bot lane, there is a Rift Herald being popped by Taxa. Of course, is going to be towards Senkax onto that Silas. And there is a Soul Varus underneath that tower that could be getting dived. Jolbu is around though.
Yeah, Senkax has actually stolen away Sin's ultimate as well there. That tower will survive though. Not going to be able to get the extra damage down. So Rift Herald used, chunked out the tower heavily, but not enough to really go down. And that gold is now just sitting there. That Rift Herald not really used. The mid lane tier 1 still stands. So in my opinion, I feel like we probably should have seen that Herald go down on the bottoms, on the mid side to try and take this tower out and just open the map up for Astralis. But they wanted to get that quick injection of cash. And unfortunately, they weren't able to quite get it.
Here's the problem here. For Astralis, they have 4 melee champions and a very short range AD carry. So in general, their whole composition is extremely short ranged, which means that is not the greatest at sieging. Now, Raid have a pretty fine team sitting underneath their towers and farming whatever CS comes their way. Astralis is also 10 minutes away from claiming a soul, which is going to be a cloud soul. It's not the worst if you want to give it away as Raid. Now, looking at the gold difference is not the worst. It's about 5,000 in favor of Astralis. And looking at the composition, there's an ever-scaling Yone on the side of Raid, as I'm going to hold on to that.
Oh, Carlson looking to try and survive. He's putting out some pretty big damage, but the CC is too much, and Curl will find the kill onto Carlson, but an instant rotation towards the bot side from Astralis. Senkax is going to be able to take this tower down. They make sure they're able to get that. They'll rotate towards the mid tower as well, while stripping away the jungle from Jolbu. And Sin has to be a little bit careful because Kiba is coming forward, will be looking to try and find himself the lockdown, flashes forward, throws out the Curse of the Sad Mummy. They are all berserk, but they are not going to be able to do too much about that. Down goes the 2 members of Wraith. They do trade out with Kiba as he goes down, and Curl continuing just to far away on this top lane tower. He's doing some pretty significant damage to it, but now he needs to put his joggers on and start running away because he is going to get chased down by Carlson.
The wrong way.
Oh, he is.
Wait.
Is he? I think he's the right way. No, Tax has found him. He has flash. He's locked. He's pinned. Curls down. It was, in fact, the wrong way.
I don't think there's a right way when you're running through Astralis' jungle and there's 4 members around the top quadrant looking for you. I mean, you're inevitably gonna face someone on your way out, but I kind of like, so there are glimpses when I really like what Wraith are doing on the map, and then I'm like, oh no. So that was a really nice gank towards the top side of the map, but Sin and Jamsu are extremely squishy. Yes, they can sit underneath the tower, but they need Sejuani around to be a completely undiveable trio. If it's just the Varus and the Renata, who are so many levels behind underneath the tower, they're just going to meld to the fed trio of Viego, Silas, Kaisa. Have you had the Sejuani there to stop that dive from happening? You could have potentially saved that mid lane tower from going down. But yet again, I do not mind that composition being built from Wraith to go against Astralis. Yes, they're full AD on their front, but Yone does so much true damage from his kit. He's scaling so hard into the late game. Varus is going for a build that's notoriously known as an Ash build, which is shield bow into on-hit damage. The Wit's End, the Rage Blade both do glimpses of AP of magic damage in their kit on hit. So there is a bunch of mixed damage coming through from Raid. And if you look around on the other side, there's not necessarily any tanks that will build major armor on their kits. So
Oh, no,
it doesn't
Errol.
really matter. If Errol manages to
Oh,
Time
one more.
to the late game?
Oh, I flashed. Okay.
okay, he's safe for now. It only took a flash and an ult. It's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah, it might be quite a lot, but
I just thought of the dog meme where he's like drinking his coffee and the whole like place is burning behind him.
yeah,
Like, it's
this
fine.
is fine. I think right now, you know, we're 20 minutes in. The gold lead's pretty significant. The kind of map pressure is just very dominant from Astralis. Right, probably scratching their heads. And you know, I don't disagree with the desk. The desk said they liked what Rate had put together, and I do think they put together a pretty decent team here. It just unfortunately this smart rotation, this very kind of methodical and by the books play style, which Astralis are good at, has just been the major strength which has defined this game. It's just Astralis have known how to rotate in response. Like, Rate do a smart move, and then Astralis just do 2 smart moves in response to that. And it's just that maths, that little bit is every time something goes right for Rate, something twice as good goes good for Astralis, and it's just added up to a point where now this game is, you know, in a position where I wouldn't say it's completely gone, but they are on the ropes right now for Rate, and they're going to be reliant on Astralis to maybe make a couple of key mistakes, which then might give them a window back into this game.
I'd say if you're the underdog, it could be easier to play against Astralis if you're ahead or even. But it becomes so incredibly difficult to play against Astralis, especially when you're the underdog, when Astralis were actually known for playing the macro pretty well when they're ahead. The fact that they have stabilized the top side of the map. Carlsen has been the focus for Raid the entire game. He's still 34 CS up. He's kept up in levels.
Oh no, he's popped the ghost. It's not going to be enough. Kiba can pin him in place if needs be. It's going to rain in. Taxa's going to chase forward. There we go. Should be easy peasy. Curl gets a nice shield off though. And a nice slow, but the ignites make sure that Kiba will be able to secure that kill for his team. And what can Rate really do? The teleport's going to get used here by Senkux to make sure that mid lane tower doesn't go down. Baron isn't on the cards. There's no way they can go for that. And actually, Rate being run down as Carlsen's got the flank. Taxa's also coming in to try and secure the lockdown onto all of them. They're very low already as Carlsen has obliterated Sin's health bar. A good hostile takeover, but Kiba able to lock everybody else in place as the double kill gets picked up by Carlsen. A return ultimate comes forward. And yeah, they get 1 kill onto Errol, but it is not enough. 4 members fall. The Baron will be quick to follow as well. And Astralis are looking to start this off with a pacey victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the trio, the Viego, the Silas, the Kai'Sa, all, well, except Chrisberg, undying in this particular game. We're seeing almost a 10,000 gold lead after this Baron going down as well. And honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy to see the stomp because Astralis, as a team, again, they had their sights at EU Masters. They had their sights to win EU Masters and they didn't even make it there. To see that sign of coordination, to see them playing so dominantly when they're playing against a by-the-book weaker team than them is actually really a pretty good surprise to see right here. And again, they have the money, they slap them with their wallets in the face, they chase them down in the jungle, they were missing 1 member before, and again, Curl on the side lane, way too overextended, and yes, the Olaf is strong, but he's not as strong, and again, going back to it, Curl was a win condition for Raid, it's not anymore. Carlsen is 2 levels up on that Olaf, he's about 40 CS up as well. Again, Carlsen has been the entire focus from the side of Raid to go down, and that Olaf hasn't necessarily really come into fruition. I don't know, I'll say the magic word. Had it maybe been an Aatrox, had it been a more scaling top lane pick that can actually dominate the entire game, could be a different story. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see, of course, in game number 2 because Astralis are looking to close this one out pretty early.
Yeah, they really are. Senkux stealing away Jolbu's ultimate as well. The last few towers outside the base are being trimmed down by Astralis as they are looking to use this Baron to crack open the base and just really put their stamp down on this game. It's a little bit scary and a little bit hard for Crispberg to step up to auto-attack that tower. They need to sync up this bot wave. It looks like the 4-1 is the plan, so they can sync up the waves, then they are in a good spot. But at the moment, the waves are actually quite out of sync with one another. And this just means that Rate can rotate from lane to lane to actually deal with this. Waves slowly catching up on the old rotation
Oh,
here.
but they left the bot lane
Slightly
though,
more
so the Baron buff actually wore off the bot side.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake, actually. They completely fumbled that. They do get half the health out of this tower. They still got Baron for a little bit longer. But yeah, definitely a bit of a mistake there from Astralis to kind of give up the pressure in the bot side and basically just mean that Rate can rotate 5 to defend that mid lane.
I'm just gonna say, you see the problem right here. 4 melee champions, an extremely short range AD carry, and then do you dive into a Sejuani, a Yone, a Varus, and a Renata? Do you potentially lose a 700, 400, and 500 gold shutdowns that could potentially go into something like a Yone that has kept up the entire game, is almost even in levels, 219 CS, has 3 kills, working towards the 3rd item. You definitely don't want to do this if you're Astralis, but what you want to do is try to potentially catch up somebody who is overextended, which is something that Curl has been for quite a while in this game. But yeah, the Siege is extremely problematic. If you cannot sync up your waves with Baron, you're not necessarily going to get any towers down. And so far, so good for Raid. They can feel pretty safe. Although, saying that, 10 seconds from now, Cloud Soul is going to come up for Astralis. I don't think Raid necessarily care too much about this one to fight it. You'll see that they actually bounced up over the top side. Maybe they can get that tower, grab some bounties for themselves.
Yeah, it feels like Rate are a bit more interested in that, but unfortunately for them, Curl is not so interested in anything, and he is just going to get himself taken out. Tower goes down inside the base here. Astralis, they've finally done it. They've cracked their way in.
You don't want to base race that. You do not want to base race that. Carlsen can actually keep on stopping these teleports. There's no one coming. Oh, Carlsen's pinning.
Lovely little flash there. They do actually get the ultimate onto everyone. The flash comes forward and Kiba goes down, but the Nexus will be left exposed and ready to go down. A hostile takeover in response from Stenkux, but a 27-minute victory over to Astralis.
I mean, honestly, clean. They get that level 1 kill onto the Varus. They snowball through the top lane. Carlsen has been the target from Wraith the entire game. Manages to equalize up in CS, up in gold, up in levels, so that Olaf did not matter. And even if it did, again, the fact that Kai'Sa was the one that was fed, it is a classic counterpick over to the Olaf. Can jump over to the other side of the fight. Didn't even have to. Fights didn't happen. Curl was getting picked off. So again, if Curl is going to be the carry for the set of Raid, I'd like to see something that can potentially scale really well into that late game.
Yeah, it was a really, really solid opener there for Astralis. Rate had some stuff in the right place, but it just felt like they were a step behind Astralis in that first game. But it is a best of 5. We'll have to see if they can learn from their mistakes. But for now, we're going to throw it back over to the Analyst Desk to break that game down. So, Archer, over to you.
Thank you so much. And we are back in the desk after what we thought it was a perfect start from Wraith versus Astralis. They set up the first blood on the top lane. It was really well executed. Everything was going smoothly for Wraith, but out of a sudden it wasn't. And I want to understand, why was that? Was it because of picks? Was it because of team communication? Subkick, you start.
Axer happened.
There you go. That is lovely. Because...
Yeah, it was basically that. He was just taking over all the fights.
Yeah. But before the fights, that's something we need to talk about, because we on the green room, which is another Discord room, we on the green room, we're talking about the fact that Texer was falling behind in terms of farm. He was not showing up on the lanes as he was supposed to, like to counter gank or get more ganks, and all of a sudden it just clicked. So you're telling me that all the setup at the beginning of the game for Wraith Gaming didn't mean anything due to the fact of one single team fight?
I feel like that's the problem because of the team composition that Astralis have. It's really easy for them to snowball, and that's the thing with Viego. It's just it's a clutch pick. When you get that one pick, when you get that one reset, it's just so easy to take over fights, and that makes it just so easy for Astralis to maybe just chill out a bit. It looks like they just weren't on the same page for the first few minutes, and that was where Wraith was actually shining. But then again, when you get to these fights, that's where you see the differences in the level in the players. And Taxer and Senkox playing really well together, getting that initial reset, and then they just completely take over the fights.
So I think we have that team fight. I'm just wondering if it's ready for us. At the 9-minute marks, a specific one where it's a big clash. It is. Oh, there you go. We don't have that one. But if you could, M-Test, if you look back into the fight in the middle of the jungle, where
Mm.
it almost seems like it's a fair one, and all of a sudden it seems like Viego and Silas were way too powerful in that choke point. What would you highlight from that one?
Oh
Ah, cool. Now
no.
unmute yourself, and then I can hear you.
Okay, I
But
mean
that was a
Astralis, right?
lovely argument. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you,
continue.
thank you, thank you. Astralis, right? They go for the invade. Now I done that as well. Damn it, man! I thought I was never gonna beat that one. But
Everybody does it
anyways,
once. Don't worry.
the 9 minute mark, I feel like is really where the game exploded. Astralis went for the red buff invade, and I really feel like at this stage of the game, I've read they really misplayed, like mechanically executed. I feel like they focused the wrong targets. I think it also begins with Erole. He used his Yone R over the wall, and then he used the E afterwards. So he's like misses a lot of his
Yeah.
damage, and he misexecutes. He dies, and then also I think Julbus Sejani ultimate went on the wrong targets. think it should have gone on Viego. Maybe they could have won the fight by then, but then you also see the power of the Silas pick, right? Senkux,
Mhm.
he can steal so many good ultimates this game, like the Sejani, the Varus, the Renata as well. He has a smorgasbord of potential there, and I really feel like after that invade, while Curl was doing well on this Olaf pick, right? He was getting a bunch of solo kills, kinda, but it didn't really snowball in any like sort of XP advantage or like gold, really big gold lead. And after that fight, Astralis bot lane, they were just too far ahead. And Kritzberg, he locked the Kai'Sa blindly. He said, "I'm gonna win lane no matter what," and he did.
And it's important to highlight the fact that the Silas was a little bit important. Yeah, the Silas was so important on the Champions Select. I agree with you 100%. When you get three massive ultimates and you get the Silas for free, and then the Silas can ban away what he wants in the mid lane, that is a tough one to deal with. So I would like to see how Red are going to tackle that one in the next Champions Select. That is going to be appearing in about 8 minutes. So we still have a lot of time to talk about some things we didn't got to discuss at the beginning of the show, like the synergy between the mid and the jungle, because so far it seems like it was a key component for the first game. So let's talk about that one, and let's bring up the mid jungle
Oh,
synergy for Astralis. And look at this,
production.
Toxin and Syncux. Tom Kick, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the one thing you see here that's also going to be a little bit different to the rate. One is you see the gold share. Now here Senkux is the one taking a lot of the resources because Taxer he plays a lot of different styles. Now he can be the Trundle, he can be the one to play for the team and give away the resources, but he can also be the Viego to take over the games, and that's why that percentage is not that high. But then again, you look at the kill share, like so much of the plays are happening around this mid jungle. They're just so good together.
Now,
Yeah.
let's toss it to the other side, MTS, because I really want you to dive into this one. The fact that there's a lot of kill participation on a specific player on the side of Raid. And I want to bring that up because that specific player couldn't play a carry in this game. And I think it actually hurt a little bit of Raid's options when they went into the game. So there you go, 40% kill participation, kill share
Yeah.
for the Yobu.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
these
a
stats
lot.
are a bit crazy, right? I mean, this basically says that Raid kind of falls and dies by Julber, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you have the perfect picture as well, the Hecarim, the horse, the power jungler for Julbu. And as you were saying, Arsham, I mean, he didn't get his hands on it this game, and Raid looked like. I mean, they were just falling apart, right? I feel like my point was that when he played this type of full clear junglers, his laners tend to fall behind. But
Mhm.
this was literally the same thing, even though he was playing a proactive jungler, the Sejani, in the early game. I feel like he couldn't really snowball the Yone at all, and even though they got a bunch of kills there on the top side, they couldn't really snowball it into like a Herald or something that could actually like net them sort of gold lead. And I mean, once again, their bot lane was just kind of falling apart. So I really want to see now. They kind of throw the curveball onto Astralis. It didn't work. I want to see him in the next game. Julbo just go for something that is full clear and
Mhm.
just tell his team, guys, just don't be 10k behind by 25 minutes, and I'll try to carry.
So before we jump into the second game of the series of today, this is the best of five quarterfinals, the second quarterfinals of Aurora Open. We'll toss it to a small break before we come back and we discuss what Wraith needs to do in order to come back from the first defeat, or what Astralis needs to do in order to just get their 3-0. I'll see you in a minute. Don't go anywhere.